Hey guys, my name is Jared, and I'm here with James.
And my name is James, and I'm here with Jared.
James, what are we talking about today, bro?
We get to talk about something that is like near and dear to our hearts and just our lives in general and our culture, and that is social media.
Social media.
I love the concept of social media, although I'm awful at social media. Don't look me up. I'm not there, and anything that is there is probably embarrassing.
What do you mean awful at social media? How can one be awful at social media?
Well, it's not hard. Here's what you do. You just don't post that often, and then you're bad at it.
Mm.
Well, okay, there's more to it than that. I also like get sucked in a lot, and so there's always like this line of like, oh man, like I want to get to know people and catch up with other people, and then there's this line of like, oh my gosh, I have to know everything that's happening, and I just like scroll and scroll and scroll, and so there's this weird bit of my life and like tension of, do I actually care this much about what is happening in other people's lives, or am I just like killing time?
Mm.
And then there's this one other aspect that I've kind of like, after the whole, really probably after like Trump in 2020 and all of that and that election cycle with
Mhm.
Trump, I was like, my opinions of people just continue to diminish as I read their posts online.
Mm.
This isn't good for me or my relationship with people. I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah. How about you? Where are you at with social media these days?
Social media is such a weird thing because I love being on social media. I love seeing what people are posting. I love posting recently about my child. My last like 6 posts have been just my
Classic.
child.
Nice.
And before that, the 6 previous posts were about my wife. So I
Nice.
also feel like I'm not that good. I just post the same thing over and over again.
That's probably
But I
good.
like posting about those things. And then I like scrolling and watching what other people are posting to the point where I just start using that as a vegging thing.
Oh,
And I'll be
I
on
see. I
there
see.
all the time, and it'll just take up so much time and so much mind space. And then, like you said, I start going on people's stories and seeing what they really think about things because the story is only up for 24 hours. And then my opinion of people starts to suffer. And I'm like, dude, this place is just like not the best for me. Like, I don't feel like I'm healthy when I'm in this space. And then I notice my screen time goes like way up when I have social
Oh,
media
yeah.
apps on my phone.
Yeah, I don't appreciate the weekly reminder of like, hey, your screen time increased 50%. Oh, no.
I had it one time where it was like I didn't have social media on my phone, and then I downloaded it. It was either TikTok or Instagram, and it went up 100%, like at
Nice.
least doubled.
I've never downloaded the TikTok app. I haven't done that. So
And staying safe from China. I see you.
yeah, you know, I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid. And yeah. So I mean, a lot of what we've talked about is like, does it glorify God and does it enslave you? So where are
Mhm.
you at with like those things in your life and your journey in social media?
Yeah, I think with social media, like I said, I can spend way too much time on it, and I don't really have an avenue right now for it to be glorifying God, where I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, I am posting this stuff and leading people to the Lord through my posts of my 6-month-old child. Like, but there is this level of like, I get on there and then my time on my phone doubles. And
Mm.
I'm like, if my time on my phone doubles, is there a level of this enslaving me? And so I go through this pattern of I'll download it because I think I need it. And then I'm like, this enslaves me. So I delete it and then I re-download it. And oh, this enslaves me. And so that's kind of the pattern I've seen
Why do you
in my
keep going
life.
back?
I think because one of it is I want to see where other people are at in life and what they're doing.
Mm.
Part of it's like I want to be posted. I want people to see what I'm doing in life.
Mm.
Yesterday was my birthday, and I was like, I want to see if anyone posted about me for my birthday.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so it
I
just
didn't.
yeah, you didn't. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Where are you at? Glorifying God versus enslaving.
Most of my social media experience has been enslaving, and so I've kind of withdrawn
Mm-hmm.
from it. I
Yeah.
think I have one social media app on my phone that I like use regularly, and I've had that like love hate, like delete, break
Mm.
up, get back together, break up, get back together, and it's been Pinterest.
Pinterest.
Yeah, you know, I'm like, oh man, I feel like a new recipe. I feel like a new like woodworking project.
Mm.
You know what? Instead of using Google, I'll go full mom and download Pinterest
Dude, there you go.
and do that. So I don't know. I'm sorting through some of that right now and figuring out. But in this place where it's not like it's not sinful
Yeah.
in your life, not sinful
No, I don't think so.
in other people's life.
Could be. And it's been sinful in my life.
Okay.
like to the point where I'm like on it all the time, even looking at things that I probably shouldn't look at on social media, and to the point where I'm like, dude, this just needs to not be a thing in my
Yeah.
life. Um,
So there's this statistic that we've kind of been playing
mhm,
with, and that we got introduced to a while ago, is that like the rate of amount of time that someone spends on social media, like direct correlation, anything over like 3 hours has a direct tie. 3 hours a day has a direct tie to the amount of anxiety and depression one is feeling, especially in the
mm,
mind of females, which is interesting. But
wild.
yeah,
Hmm.
well, male and female brains are really different. But anyways, have you noticed that your anxiety and depression goes up the more that you spend on it?
Yeah, and I think for me, like I feel the anxiety and depression going up mostly because I feel like I'm not genuinely connecting with people because I'm spending time that I would be connecting in the space, and then my mind is foggy when I leave it. Especially if I'm on social media for like 2, 3 plus hours a day,
Mm,
my mind is more foggy. I feel less connected to people, and that causes anxiety for me
yeah. You used a
personally.
phrase the other day, and you called it like you got into like a workflow state, and you just like cranked out this
Yeah.
whole like paper or sermon or something. And I find it way more difficult to get into a workflow state when like social media is happening, and I'm like, oh, I want to check. Oh, I want to see. Oh, I wonder if anyone posted on my comment yet.
Mm,
And so I just am ridding myself of that. But
yeah.
yeah. Let's see. What are some of the other like good dangers things that you see in social media?
Well, one of the good is we were also talking about that same stat where 3 plus hours a day can be detrimental to your health. But if you spend less than an hour a day and you're acclimated to be on social media, it can actually be unhealthy to spend less than an hour a day.
Yeah, that depression and anxiety rates go up when you spend less time,
Hmm.
less than an hour on it too. That one was a new one to me and like a
Yeah.
game changer because I've kind of been, on my soapbox for a while about social media and in it, but the fact that like it genuinely does connect people, and it's the way
Hmm.
that like our culture, and especially like youth culture, and millennials and Gen Z and Gen Alpha like will communicate with each other, and so
Yeah.
completely unplugging from it can be painful and hurtful, which is interesting,
Hmm.
and I think particularly interesting for parents to know,
Yeah.
because I think most parents would go, "Hey, let's just completely withdraw, like it's all poison,"
Yeah.
and that's not entirely the case.
But it's also been kind of our story where we've seen it be like, dude, this has been unhealthy, so let's completely withdraw and then go all the way back in and then withdraw. For our students that are listening, what do you think is the balance for them? How can they maintain social media without being in that place of overly on it, but also on it enough to connect?
I don't know. That's a hard thing because it's so like it's almost like how do you set up friendship? Like friendship
Hmm.
for you might look different than friendship for me and
Yeah.
who we're friends with and how we go about that friendship. And so there's this huge aspect into navigating like what friendship looks like
Yeah.
and how it is done in social media. And there's so much that's being
Mm,
discovered on social media, and
yeah.
so like trial and error. But I love the like limiting and phone apps limiting all of that. I think it's really important, but also super easy to ignore and just kind of keep doing your thing.
Yeah.
Um, there's one analogy that I've really, really loved, that is like the alcohol analogy, and it's changed the way that I have viewed social media in the last couple of years. Which
Mm,
imagine, if you will, uh, our world did not know alcohol existed. And then 20 years ago, some dude was messing around with grapes and invented wine. And it was like this whole new boom of industry that happened where it's like, look at all these different wines we can make from grapes. And then did you know you could do this with hops and corn and rice and
hmm.
potatoes and everything? And all of a sudden, like all these different kinds of alcohol are coming out
Yeah.
at this alarming rate. Um, but there's no limitation. There's no thousands of years of understanding how alcohol works. There's no long-term studies on like brain function or can I operate heavy machinery and drink alcohol at the same time? What age limit should you be able to drink alcohol? It's different here than it is in Canada, and that happened years ago. But imagine there's none of that
Mm,
restriction, and it's almost like the Wild West of figuring this stuff out. And so
mm,
it's interesting when different studies and different long-term, decade-long studies are coming out on social media and telling us more and more the effects of it.
mm.
But to navigate it carefully and cautiously, and to continually be looking for like connection rather than competition over social media, I think is like the motivational in it, or there has to be a motivation in it. It's like your
Yeah.
heart posture and what is it? Is it competition or is it connection? So,
Wow. I think that alcohol analogy is crazy. That
oh yeah.
if you think about how addictive that could be and how wild that could be and how detrimental that could be to our society, in the same way we can see social media in that way. And in my head, it goes immediately to, we have built boundaries around alcohol to make
Mm.
it safe. Don't drink until you're 21. Don't drive if you've had stuff to drink. Don't do this, don't do that. There's rules around it. Do you think that there are boundaries we could put in place for social media that could be helpful for us as we navigate this new and kind of wild space?
I definitely think there are boundaries, and I mean we have already talked about like that big one. It's just time. I mean,
Mm,
different apps, different stuff. I don't really know about all that stuff, but time is the big one, um,
mhm.
because it is like a continual like addictive thing where
Mm,
the studies showing that like every time you get a notification, it's dopamine released into your brain, and so it becomes
yeah.
this huge addictive thing. And so severely limiting the amount of time and looking for that like 1 to 2 hours a day, and nothing more, to ensure you are not enslaved by this thing.
Hmm.
So.
And maybe if it's even scheduling that 1 to 2 hours, I know that can be
Well, then
kind of.
how will I be able to post on Be Real? See? It's way complicated. But I don't know. It's an interesting thing and just like something it's a thread to keep tugging at. And I don't think we have all the answers, but it's a fun conversation
Hmm.
to have. So
Yeah, and this isn't the end of the conversation. And I think we should keep engaging in on this conversation because it is so complex and there's so many levels to it. But I think this has been a cool start of a conversation around
I
social
agree.
media.
Let's keep chatting about it.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us.